Do I hear a motion for us to go into closed session?
I move that we adjourn to executive session to discuss the employment history of particular persons being considered for board action this evening.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're in closed session.
Okay. Thank you all for waiting. No, we'll put it in D3. Thank you so much, Joya. Steve, we're ready? Okay, great. Thank you everyone for waiting. We are almost an hour behind in our schedule. The time is now 8:56 p.m. and we've just left our executive session. We're moving on to number A4, tenure approval. Tonight we have 2 administrative staff up for tenure. Items B1 and B2 on our agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
I move that we approve the tenure items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Congratulations to Dr. McCoy and Mr. Rossi. And as in our usual fashion, we will have Mr. Michael McCoy and Ms. Sheep Rossi please come up to our mic and reintroduce yourself. Now that you're at the end of your tenure period, please share with the public that may not know you, what you do here, and anything else pertinent about you that we would need to know.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sheep Rossi. Good evening, Dr. Iverson, Dr. Macaluso, President Tracy Mayers, Board Trustees. I want to thank you for accepting the recommendation for my tenure. It was not so long ago, only over 2 decades ago, that I walked into Greenberg, started out as a substitute teacher, became a teaching assistant, and through the leadership of Greenberg administrators, I was encouraged to go into leadership, and they sort of supported me throughout. Worked as a teacher, summer school principal, and I'm the proud principal of R.J. Bailey. So I want to thank you very, very much for accepting the recommendation. The best is yet to come. I want to thank my colleagues, Mr. Smith, Mr. McCoy, all my administrative colleagues for all that they've given me over the past 4 years, and of course the wonderful staff at R.J. Bailey and the parents and everybody who's here to support me. Thank you very much, and we have some great things coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rossi. And Mr. McCoy?
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the Board of Education, Dr. Iverson, Dr. Magaluso, I'm very excited. I came here in 2008 as a phys ed teacher at Lee F. Jackson, and now I am the Director of Athletics, Phys Ed, and Health, which I'm in my 4th year. I would really like to thank Ms. Simone and Mr. Smith, who really took me under their wings. Ms. Simone told me from day one that I wouldn't be here for long at Jackson because I'll be an administrator very shortly. And she taught me the ropes. When I got here to the high school, Mr. Smith kept open arms, was very open with me. We've had great conversations. I'm very excited of the future here at Greenberg. We have a lot of things to look forward to. So I'm very excited again. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to the future.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Okay, does any trustees or anyone want to make any comments? Okay, I'm going to move on in the agenda. Next, we have committee reports. Are there any committees that have to report at this time?
Yes. If anybody else has, you can go first.
No, we have to next. We're doing CEC committee?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'll announce that the next Finance and Facilities Committee meeting is Wednesday, April 27th at 6:30 p.m. We're continuing with Zoom.
Thank you for clarifying that, David.
Okay, on March 28th, the Community Engagement and Communications meeting met, and at 7 p.m. the attendees were Dr. Iverson, David Warner, Samantha Ives, Terrence Jackson, Stephen Morton, Francis Sheehan, Edith Horn, Lloyd Port, Mona Freytag, Liz Anastasi, Kelly Ross, Mary Spells, Sarah Lazari, Roy Finichel, and myself. We adopted our meeting minutes from the February 28th, 2022 meeting, and then we had updates from our superintendent. In terms of those updates, she spoke through COVID restrictions continuing to be re-examined as our numbers are low, and how everyone is going to continue to self-govern regarding masks, that the test to stay is still in place. We had a highlight of one parent that did highlight the fact that they had an compromised student, and they wanted to say, congrats, to shout the administration out for saying that their child had not been bullied or tried to influence to take his mask off or anything to that effect. So thank you for that, Dr. Iverson. We discussed the summer reading program, so please do connect to the local libraries because that is something that students will have access to. The library is going to be doing more to give students choices about what they'll be reading this summer. Dr. Iverson spoke about the planning for summer school, which will be discussed in our next CEC meeting, and how we might partner with the community center as part of the summer school program as well. We talked a little bit about the superintendent teas and principal meets and how those are going to be facilitated next year. And a community member spoke about wanting those events to be ones where they can collaborate directly with the administrators. We had a rather lengthy discussion around the district-wide communication policy that was led by Mr. David Warner. After that conversation, it turns out that we are going to be administration will be working in conjunction with the governmental relations committee to work with BOCES and NISBA to do updates of that communication policy over the coming months. At the tail end of the meeting, and we'll remind everybody again about the Nettie Jackson Award. You can head over to the website if you'd like to recommend anybody for that award, somebody who is going above and beyond in the district. And we close the meeting. And that is it.
Thank you, Trustee Thomas. And I volunteered to be the trustee on that committee. When is that award going to be presented to the public? Do you guys know yet? Nettie Jackson Extra Mile Award?
It's at the June board meeting.
Okay. So the deadlines for submissions for those are coming up? maybe in May.
Um,
Trustee Warner, did you find it on there? I see you looking in the calendar.
I'm looking and I'm remembering that what normally happens is that you try and get done by Memorial Day weekend.
I have a date.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the website, it says that the deadline to submit nominations is May 20th, 2022. You can find the nomination form and this information under the Board of Education portion of the Greenberg Central School District website.
Thank you, Trustee Valerie. Okay, do we have, are you finished? I'm sorry.
I am.
Or do we have any other reports from trustees? We do have an upcoming Education and Wellness Committee meeting this Thursday, I believe. Is it 7 o'clock, Dr. Macaluso-ish? Okay, yes, okay. And, well, we're gonna possibly move ours, right?
The calendar says the Education and Wellness Committee meeting is scheduled for 7 o'clock. And I have yet to discuss with my fellow committee members, but yes, we will most probably change our Governance and Policy Committee meeting that is also scheduled for Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other committee reports? No? Then we'll move on. Next is the board president's report. I wanted to first congratulate our two administrators that received their tenure today. We're also going through the process of looking at tenures for the rest of our staff for the end of the year. Please, I wanted to remind everyone, we have our upcoming budget vote. Tonight, you'll see the board vote on the proposed budget that our administration has given us. Our budget vote is on May 17th. You can come from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. right here on our campus at the gym. I also want to thank the community members and the staff that are participating in the creation of our strategic plan. We have a strategic planning committee. I believe their first meeting was yesterday. I spoke very briefly with our consultant who said that the meetings went well. He said that you guys are talking about a lot of good things already and also working on the portrait of a graduate. Speaking of graduates, who are usually in their teens, everyone please continue to monitor your teenager and children even younger when it comes to the internet. We've all been very much involved in the internet and a virtual world since COVID. So even our youngest children received Chromebooks and they know how to navigate these things. So parents, community members, caregivers, please keep your eye on your students' virtual tablet or computer or phone as much as possible. And that is it for me. I also do need to remind you the same day as our budget vote, May 17th, we will ask you to vote on future Board of Education members. There are 2 Board of Education trustees positions that expire this year. That's Trustee Dragic, who could not make it tonight, and Trustee Warner. And the deadline for submission to run for the Board of Ed was yesterday at 5 p.m. And for those 2 positions, we only had 2 candidates. That is Trustee Warner seeking re-election and a newcomer, Julie Along. Julie Along. And so there are 2 candidates for 2 positions, and we also ask that you come out and vote for those Board of Education positions as well as in support of our budget. That is all. I will move on to the next items on the agenda. We have public comments. We only have 1 public comment this evening. That is Mr. James Bell, who is our GTF president, and he's talking about tenures. Good evening, Mr. Bell. You have 4 minutes. I can't see the clock, but I think maybe you can see it.
Good evening. With proper protocol already being established, I want to share a document before I get into details. Agreement between 2009-2021 between the Board of Education of Greenberg Central School District and the Greenberg Teachers Federation, Local 1788 of American Teachers Federation of the AFL-CIO. This is a binding contract between the Board of Ed and the Greenberg Teachers Federation. And in this contract, on page 49, it has process in helping teachers to obtain tenure and what is needed to be executed if they are to be awarded tenure within our district. I'm not sure if everyone's aware of it, but it gravely concerned me that teachers who have committed themselves to our school district and our students day in, throughout a pandemic, family issues, community issues, that on our vacation time, that our teachers will be blindsided with letter of termination during our vacation time. I'm concerned, is this the direction our district is heading in? That teachers can get adequate evaluations and the time that we're off, they receive a notice to say, come June 30th, you no longer will be a part of this community? I just want to know what is the steps and the procedures that administrators have taken place that coincide with this agreement between these two bodies. The central office, the Board of Ed, and the GTF. On page 49, there are 16 steps in the process for untenured teachers that should be followed. Too many years I hear that because someone's not tenured, they don't have any say-so. But thank God that someone had visions to put in our contract, the process, so that the playing field would be leveled. That's all we ever want, is a level playing field. And if any of the board members would like to have a copy of this public record, I have copies here. I have 1 minute and 13 seconds. I want to read what was put in my mailbox when I got back from off of my vacation. This teacher, as of January 3rd, 2022, Domain 1, effective, 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 highly effective, effective, effective. Domain 2, highly effective, 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 effective. Domain 3, effective, effective, highly effective, highly effective, highly effective. Domain 4, effective, 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 effective. On January 3rd, 2022, but come April, over the spring break, they receive notice that they're being denied tenure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. We don't have any more
Do you want
speakers.
if anyone's interested in this legal binding contract? Thank you.
Okay. So next on our agenda, we have our approvals. And then the board does need to go back into a second executive session. We also are going to read a separate resolution under section D, personnel, non-instructional, that was not pre-printed, but the board made a decision this evening to add a hire onto the agenda. So can I get a motion, please, for section C?
I move that we approve the instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. For section D, 1 and 2, can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the non-instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I'm going to read section D3 that is not printed on the agenda. Be it resolved that as recommended by the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the probationary appointment of Dennis Puglisi as Director of Facilities 3 from Civil Service Eligible List number 26-536 at a salary of $135,000 prorated effective May 5th, 2022, ending May 4th, 2023, subject to all civil service rules and regulations and fingerprint clearance. Note, D. Puglisi shall be assigned to the central office staff for the 2021-22 school year, replacing Michael Falcone, whose retirement was accepted at the March 15, 2020 Board of Education meeting. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion?
I'd just like to amend the very final note that you read, whose retirement was accepted at the March 15th, 2022 Board of Education meeting.
Oh, what did I say?
2020,
Oh, thank you.
or I misheard it.
I do that all the time. Okay, thank you for correcting. March 15th, 2022 Board of Education meeting. Joya, please reflect that in the notes. I did have a couple of discussion points. First, just for clarity, who or where would this person be supervised? Dr. Macaluso or Dr. Iverson? Ms. Raymond, okay. So he'll be supervised by Ms. Raymond. And I also noticed, and I think I know the answer to this, but I just want clarity. His probationary rate is from May 5th to May 4th, 2023, which is different than our normal instructional staff that have 4 years. Can you please clarify the reason for this?
All civil service staff, their probationary period is 1 year.
Thank you for clarifying. Okay, it's been properly moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We'll move on to section E.
I move that we approve the budget items presented to the Board of Ed for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Good job. So we have an official budget we'll present to the community. Okay, great. Now we'll move on to the board action items. Can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the board action items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Mo-
We need to have the appointment of the election chairs.
Okay, so then can someone rescind that motion? David?
I rescind that motion.
Thank you. So thank you for stopping me, Joya. So for the election chairs, so in the event that I cannot make the election, what happens is I come and I open the polling place with the district clerk. If I cannot make it, who is willing to come at 7 in the morning to help open the polls? Anyone? Anyone?
I know you looked my way.
I am looking your way.
I'll volunteer.
Trustee Ballard. So the second part of the resolution will read, be it further resolved that in the event of absence or unavailability of the above named individual, Trustee Chris Vallon shall act as election chairperson for the said annual district meeting. Okay? And then we also need, is there something else, Joya?
Yes.
Number 5. So trustees, who would you guys like to, which two trustees here would you like to nominate for the Southern Westchester BOCES?
I would, oh,
Go ahead, trustee Warner.
I was gonna nominate Robert Johnson and Joan Weber.
Sorry, Johnson and Weber, okay. Any other trustees want to share their opinion?
I would have gone for Robert Johnson and Lynn Fraser McBride.
Okay, any other trustees? I did see your sticky here, Joya, thank you. I'm a little late at that. Okay, so we have two trustees that want to nominate Johnson, so I'll leave Johnson there, one for McBride, one for Weber. Can you please poll the board, Joya?
Trustee Valen?
Weber.
Trustee Thomas?
Johnson.
And who's your second one?
Second one. Was it Weber? Yeah, I'm not familiar with everybody. Weber.
Okay, and I will go with, well, it's, I guess, move, but 1, 2, 3. I will go with, I actually would go with Johnson and McBride. So we have 5 for Johnson, and only 3 for Weber and 2 for McBride, so I think we can only cast a vote for Johnson. It was only 3 for Weber, right?
Right, but you have to pick two.
Well, we don't have to pick 2. Yeah, but normally a vote, I don't know if you want to chime in, Carol, because normally it takes 4 people to put something through, so I don't know.
Yes, so it's split, you're saying.
Mhm.
Robert Johnson. Sure.
Yeah, it would just be Johnson, we would just make one nomination.
So you five tonight, so it's whoever's with 3.
Okay, so we should make 2 nominations then. Okay, so there would be Johnson and Weber. Hmm? Did you say something? No? Okay, so we'll go through again. So for item number F5, one vote will be cast for Johnson and another for Weber. And then for our election chairperson, the alternate would be trustee Chris Ballard. Okay, now we're just gonna do another consent agenda. Can I get a motion for items F, what is that, board action? Yeah.
I move that we approve board action items presented, I move that we approve the board action items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Section G, finance items.
I move that we approve the finance items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next, we have business items.
I move that we approve the business items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next, we have pupil personnel service items.
I move that we approve the pupil personnel service items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next, we have our closing items, but we do need to enter into a second executive session. It's now 9:23. Can I get a motion?
I move that we adjourn to executive session to discuss the employment history of particular persons being considered for board action at this or another meeting.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We will hopefully be out within an hour. And then we could do our closing items, so there will be action taken when we return. Thank you.
Okay, you're live.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you. We are going to return to our closing items. It's now 10:49 p.m. And we are on J, closing items. J1 is board meeting dates. We have a revised calendar here. Hopefully all trustees have had a chance to look at the revised meeting dates. Are there any questions or concerns?
Yes.
Yes?
Just looking at January, we're scheduled for 2 meetings after break and after Martin Luther King Day. I'm wondering, is there any reason we couldn't do the 10th and the 24th instead of the 3rd and the 17th? Yes, January.
And so the issue would be to not have a board meeting immediately after break.
The day after returning from a long break, I don't know what we'd exactly accomplish, especially if leadership hasn't had a chance to meet to prepare that meeting. And I don't know the events that are going on that wouldn't, just moving things down a week, and we'd still have a week in between the February work session.
That is true. I'm fine with that change. Trustees, anybody have any objection to that? Because it still leaves a week, the week of January 29th is still a week between the work session, the regular January meeting and the February work session, right?
So it'd still be every other week, it's just knocking it down a week instead of the day after break.
No objection here.
Okay, hearing none, we're gonna go with that. So let's adopt the calendar and get it on the website with that change, Ms. Ponticello, from January 10th to 24th instead of the 3rd and the 17th for our work and regular meeting. Yeah. And that was a good point Trustee Ballard made too. We'll be on break and we won't have any way to prepare the agenda for this meeting. Everything will be over break. Yeah, to the 10th and the 24th instead. Okay, great idea. Is there any new business? Hearing none, we're gonna go back. I'm sorry, Trustee Pineda, sorry about that.
Do we want to pull BOCES thing?
If there's no new business, we're gonna go back to the unfinished stuff. The BOCES vote that we talked about. So, Joya, I'm gonna ask you to go back to the F5 item and strike that from the minutes. We're going to vote on just that F5 item.
Question?
Yes?
Do we need to actually undo the approval that we did earlier?
Because we just approved the
We
warrant.
approved it as part of the consent.
Because we approved it as the whole section.
Right, so
So we'll have
we need to
to
rescind the part of the verbiage, rescind the approval of,
rescind the whole section and then approve the section without number 5. So if anyone wants to make a motion,
I move we rescind approval of section F, board action.
Second.
it's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. So can I get a motion for section F without F5?
I move we approve board action items with the exception of F5.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion?
yes, I'd just like to point out that we did, as amended, to include the names, do we need to say that again? Of F7. Sorry. We could do
Yes,
exception.
as amended.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Can I get a motion for F5, please?
Are we doing one name at a time, or are we doing,
You got to do the motion first. Then we can do discussion and do that. Part of discussion.
then I move that we approve board action item F5 as
Second.
amended.
Discussion.
Sure. Go ahead, trustee.
Can we have the district clerk poll each one of us for the 2 candidates that we prefer?
Trustee Allen?
Johnson and Weber?
Trustee Thomas?
Johnson and Weber.
Trustee Warner?
Johnson and Fraser McBride.
Trustee Pineda?
Johnson and Weber.
President Mayers?
Johnson and Weber. So that looks like Johnson and Weber are 4 votes. So F5 will read, be it resolved that the 1 vote be cast for Johnson and Weber to serve as trustees on the Southern Westchester Board of Cooperative Education Services for the time period of July 1st, 2022 till June 30th, 2025. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And that moves us to our last item, which is adjournment.
I move that we adjourn this evening's meeting.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. It's 10:55 p.m. Thank you and good night.
Good night.